Hi, welcome to Manas Shield YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 20. Chapter 3. The Titan of Shakeout. Adalman's human form. Slammed to the ground, Adalman seems to have fainted. It may have been a momentary event, but on the battlefield it is a fatal blunder. Grateful for his good fortune, Adalman prioritizes his understanding of the situation. Without going back to his memory of what happened, he understands that he was hit by Fen's blow. It was a desperate force. Adalman survived because Gehenna Dragon Wenti protected him, and together they took the impact. And the only reason why he was not chased down was because Ultima came to his rescue. But still, Fen was the one to be feared. All the multi-layer barrier that Adalman had put up was broken through, and only one defensive measure was effective. Without that defense, Adalman would have been mortally wounded by a single blow. It is a strange expression to say that I, who am already dead, would have been mortally wounded. But still, I am a good magic barrier, but this is more than a defeat. Adalman felt that he had been ignored. By the way, the remaining barrier was not a magical one, but a protective coating by fighting ore. Without it, Adalman's barrier would not have been able to be used. Without it, Adalman might have ascended to heaven. Although it could be considered as a forceful push, it seemed more natural to think that Adalman had been penetrated. Then, the secret of Fen's power comes into view. Well, I didn't think it was possible, but it does occur to me. It seems that the upper giants have magic nullification. That was the answer Adalman came up with. It was the same as Ultima's view, and it was the correct answer. Adalman had already regarded it as the truth. It would explain the low impact of the extreme magic, and the fact that his own defenses were ignored. Adalman was not bothered by the fact that he did not have to use magic against the giants. In any case, Adalman's mana was already exhausted. It was difficult to use magic anymore, so he was of the mind that it did not matter if the enemy was magic disabled or not. Adalman, who was supposed to be dying, stood up as if there was no problem. Every bone in his body is cracked, and his holy robe is covered in mud. Still, Adalman is unconcerned and looks at Fen, who is fighting against Ultima. It's the Lady Ultima, isn't it? She seems to have already realized that her magic does not work. I'm amazed that you managed to even the odds with such a big difference in power. To be precise, they are not evenly matched, but they are only prolonging the game. Even a single direct hit would make Ultima unable to stand up. Ultima has the audacity to attack repeatedly without fearing such a situation. It is precisely because of this that Ultima has been able to fight against an enemy whose existence value is 20 times greater than its own. However, the limit seems to be approaching. Adalman had no time to be complacent. The reason why he was not panicking was because he knew that he would be of no use to them if he continued on his way. Mana is running out, and bones are dying. That is the word to describe Adalman now. Then there was something he should have done before going to the rescue. Wenti, are you alright? Yes, I was caught off guard. Wenti quietly takes human form and answers Adalman's question. She decides that the damage is too great, and she should use her trump card to recover. Wenti can only activate her super recovery once a day by changing her physical configuration. From dragon form to human form, or vice versa. Either way, it allows her to ignore even mortal wounds. In this case, by transforming into human form, she was able to erase the intense damage she had taken on Adalman's behalf. Adalman knows of this power, so he is not surprised and continues the conversation. Thank you for saving my life. I'm glad you're alright. But now we have a problem. What it is? He doesn't seem affected by magic. If we don't do something, Miss Ultima will be in danger. I see. Fen's energy level was so far out of the ordinary that it was reckless to challenge him in a straightforward manner. Adalman's words came as a shock to Wenti, who had been thinking of using magic to cover him. Adalman, however, is unperturbed. It is hard to believe that he used to be a priest. He looks at Fen as if he were a researcher and says, "The giant is too strong. Even if magic could work, it would have been difficult to defeat it." Adalman tells him plainly that this is true. Their battle speed, destructive power, and defense. All of them are first-rate, and their amount of energy alone is comparable to that of the true dragon. Even if you attack it with a meager force, you will be crushed. Naturally, the same was true for Adalman's magic. So, Adalman says, we need to change course. Oh dear. It looks like it's time for my well-trained body to come out for the first time in a long time. What? Wenti, who loves his master Adalman, could not let his words go unanswered. She let out a questioning voice and asked, "Did you hit your head?" He has a crack in his head. Is he conscious? Maybe he is not in his right mind. Maybe he is talking in his sleep while dreaming. He looks at Adalman with suspicion. It was inevitable. Adalman has only bones. What is a skeleton talking about? As if to answer Wendy's question, Adalman says in a hawkish tone, I didn't say that. I was a high priest, but my real job was something else. Yes. I was actually a holy fist master, a position above that of a monk and a martial artist. I see. Adalman didn't have to fight in close combat because he had Albert, who was a good bodyguard, and could play the role of a vanguard. So, before he knew it, he had become a rearguard and a healer. This was because it was more efficient, but it did not mean that Adalman abandoned his skills. He is still active as a fist fighter. Fighting or a defensive membrane saved his life was the proof of it. When I fought you, I didn't think it would be effective against you who are not humanoid, and I didn't have a chance to show you my techniques. I see. Wendy was at a loss for a response. She have known him for hundreds of years, but this is the first time she have heard this truth. Or rather, if he had such a skill, she think he could have used it in more situations. Even Wendy, who admires Adalman, had a few unacceptable stories. It seems that you are convinced. Yes, no. But, I mean, what? Wait a minute. Is there a problem? Well, there's a lot going on, isn't there? Oh, I see. What do you mean? Wendy is at a loss to be asked such a question, but she has to ask this one question, so she starts to speak up. I don't think so, but are you planning to face that giant with your bare hands? Wendy asked, hoping for a denial. She have known Adalman for a long time, but she have never seen him training his body. She don't even know if it makes sense for a skeleton to work out. She don't care if he used to be a holy fist master or not. Fen is too powerful an opponent to challenge with such uncertain information. In short, Wendy is not interested in this challenge. And yet, Adalman was determined. Fufufu, it's a stupid question. You are a fist fighter, so it is natural that you use your bare hands, right? Do you still have doubts? Wendy wanted to retort, I didn't mean it like that, but all she could say was, no, nothing. Adalman's momentum was too much for Wendy. I see. I understand that he was deceived by his former allies. Adalman Sama looks intelligent, but he's not. She stopped thinking further and turned her eyes to the rampaging Fen. Now, I have to trust in the Lord, my beloved. Although she doubted whether he really loved the Lord, Wendy decided to entrust everything to Adalman. Very well. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Magic doesn't seem to work, so we'll hit them with physics. This is the only way. Just hearing this, Wendy wants to go home. But she perseveres and listens to the next part of the plan. Of course, your breath won't work either. Because the principle of magic nullification seems to be interfering with the spiritron itself, which makes up the magicule. Wendy was surprised to find Adalman to be a dependable, if not quite decent, person. However, what he said next was, in other words, we have no means of attack. So, I have a proposal. Let's combine. Yes. Adalman's proposal was beyond Wendy's imagination. Frankly speaking, it made no sense. Nevertheless, Adalman took Wendy's reply as an affirmative. Fufufu, I knew you would say so. Well, no. Wendy's denial was too late. Or rather, Adalman, who did not listen to Wendy's words, did not waste any time in launching his technique. I've been developing a secret technique for this kind of thing, and now I'm going to show you. Wendy's body is weakening. Adalman invoked the ritual of assimilation by possession. She wondered how long she had been developing it, but it seems that the ritual succeeded without any problem. Adalman, a dead spirit, is as close to a spirit organism as possible. It can be said that he is possessed by his dead body, or his skeleton. By doing so, he can have an influence on this world, but the skeleton does not have to be his dependent. In this case, Wendy was possessed by the skeleton. This alone is not enough to be considered as a secret ritual. The question was whether or not the consciousness would not be mixed. Unlike possession that takes another person's body, it was necessary to protect the consciousness of the subject. It is precisely because Adalman solved this problem that he is so proud to say that it is a secret. Rest assured. Your consciousness is still intact when you are possessed, isn't it? Yes. Well, I'm a little worried about the separation later. Adalman murmurs quietly. Wendy is not the kind of person who misses it. Wait. Are you sure you are okay? Adalman replies gently to Wendy's panicked voice. Even in the worst case, let's ask our god Tensura to prepare a new body for us. Wendy thought that this was a brazen statement, but at least she would be allowed to say so. Tensura loves experiments, and he would be very happy if he showed him the result of this ritual. The more important question is which one of them will move to the new body, or even before that. Wendy has finally become aware of what her current state is. When Adalman possessed Wendy, her body had been transformed significantly. The magicule of the Gehenna dragon and the strong body that supports it. Adalman's mentality of steel controls it. Well, this is a familiar sight. Standing there was a dark-haired young man in a jet-black priest's uniform. It was the young Adalman. Although there were some differences, such as the color of his hair, it was a perfect reproduction of Adalman's younger self. Seeing this figure, Wenti thought. What? Surprisingly good-looking. Adalman-sama is a man to be respected. Wenti is a cash cow. I'll leave the rest to you, Adalman-sama. Wenti decided to trust Adalman completely, forgetting about the anxiety she had been feeling until then. Thus, the true Gehenna Lord with a strong body and a huge amount of mana has descended. I am excited for the first time in a long time. In this condition, I might be able to compete with Zijin Dono. Maybe, I'm even with Miss Sultina. Adalman thinks so. Adalman thinks back to his friends, who could not even exchange fists with him when he was a skeleton. Now, even if he don't win, the fight is still possible. Apart from Benimaru, Diablo, and Zijin, Adalman was confident that he would not be defeated by the other Guardian Kings. Adalman smiled wryly and kicked the ground. His body is as light as if he were flying. Even when he was a skeleton, he had never felt so free from gravity. Still, the giant Fen is a formidable foe. It was suicidal to take him for a fool, since Ultima was on the defensive against him. Adalman alone would have been impossible to defeat. But if he had worked with Ultima. Fortunately, Fen's power was real, but his skill level did not seem to be as high as that of Glassard, who was fighting against Albert. He could not handle the same level of energy as True Dragon, which is why he has not been able to finish off Ultima. Adalman thinks confidently, then that's where we have a chance to win. Let's aim for a complete and overwhelming victory, not a tactical victory, such as stalling for time. Adalman-sama is surely capable of that. Wenti also responded in a friendly manner, although she did not know where the basis for this was. It was an exchange of like minds. Yes, that's right. We are one of Rimuru-sama's most powerful servants, the 12 guardians of the sacred demon. This fact is the source of his confidence. Adalman and Wenti, both of them, run happily and laughingly in this critical situation. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.